Welcome to the Welsh Yogi podcast. Hare Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Go on.
Hi, Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Welsh Yogi podcast in our new Atma Lounge studio.
Hare Krishna.
Myself, Gopal, back to bed. And we got our guest, Tarakanatha.
I'm a guest. I'm a guest all of a sudden, am I?
The host, the extra co-host.
Okay.
Yeah, we got like a little introduction written, isn't it? You can read.
Yeah, this is the introduction Ben's written for the podcast.
Has it been edited?
Proofread.
Proofread and...
The Welsh Yogi podcast brings the timeless, time-tested teachings of India to the 21st century. We draw from the ancient Sanskrit wisdom texts like the Sri Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita to give you the tools you need to inject some spiritual philosophy into your modern lifestyle.
So far, so good. Go on.
Level up your perspective and get connected.
That's
You
it.
say so far so good. This is Ben's.
I got.
Ben's
So
rap.
this is my little like. If it was gonna go on the radio, this would be my radio advert. So it goes. In a world full of negative sound vibration, with a constant news rotation and a consumeristic fixation, the Welsh Yogi podcast is a spiritual space station that offers an uplifting sound vibration to the nation.
You actually think that stuff. You actually dream this stuff up to you.
Yeah, that's just come out of my mind.
So we thought we'd introduce you a bit, Tarakanatha, as
As what?
as the person who started the Bhakti Yoga movement here in Wales over 20 years ago. Today, we hopefully will hear about
Well, if you've lost 10 years of my life, then it was over 30 years
Over
ago.
30. That was my fault.
30 years. And we will hear how Tarakanatha, as an ex-coal miner, father of four, rugby captain from the Valleys.
I played rugby, yeah. I played rugby at school level. I was representative in East Wales I played for.
Really?
Yeah, at school level, you know, at the age grade.
I went for West Wales trials myself. Like,
Yeah.
I did my knee in before.
Yeah, that's your excuse, because you didn't get into it.
I got the ACL. Like,
And how you came across the ancient Sanskrit teachings of India and how you got inspired to build a Bhakti empire.
That's a bit back the empire.
Well, there's there's Yogaya restaurant in Swansea. There's
Okay.
Cafe Atma here in Cardiff. T Krishna in it's
I guess so, yeah. We're going to big ourselves up a little bit, I guess.
and now you've carried on. You've dedicated your life to teaching the Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Yoga, and so we would like to hear a bit more about it.
Would you? How much am I getting paid for this, by the way? Do I get any, apart from a cup of tea?
Hmm.
It
So
all
yes.
began a long, long time ago.
When did you come across it? Christian consciousness?
I come across it in the early 80s, I guess.
Uh-huh.
That was when it was... well, he got initiated, was Bindu Madhava, but at the time he was Buzz. That was his name at the time. Yeah, that was... You can imagine what this was.
Buzz.
It was called Buzz, right? It was like...
Why is it called Buzz?
It was anything for the buzz, wasn't it? So, yeah, I remember he was always trying to bridge different religions together, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism.
Mm.
I remember he gave me a book. It was a book on Buddhism. Because he always trying to convert, because we was playing rugby, I was the rugby crowd, isn't it? Running around up the valleys,
Was he like a hippie then or something?
Yeah, he was the...
And a rugby player as well? Or?
No.
Hippies weren't rugby players. And
Hippie and rugby doesn't go
players weren't
together.
hippies.
No, that doesn't mix. That's not he used to hate it. But because we up the valleys, that's what it was, that's the mainstay, isn't it? It's a culture there, You go to the rugby club, play your rugby, go drink your beer and things like that. But he never fitted in that scene. He was just hanging around us because that was his social scene. But he was always criticising it, and but he didn't. But it was just for him to hang out. He used to call it when he used to go to watch the rugby, he come along. He used to hate it, like I said. He used to say, 30 grown men chasing a pig's bladder around the field. He said, how embarrassing. Because apparently the rugby balls used to be made at that time. But the inner, not like the balls they play with today. There was a few jokes in there, but because we live. Yeah, anyway, he kind of got me in. I say, give me his book. It was, I always remember Lob Sam Rampart. It was his book on Buddy. He said, read that. And I wasn't much of a reader anyway, but I kind of read it, and then kind of made sense. Well, it was just taking, at that time I was going, getting me to be a little bit more thoughtful rather than like running wild around the valleys, you know.
Was anyone like that? Like, was there many people into spiritualists? Was Buzz like one of a kind sort of thing?
Yeah, a complete oddball. That's what it was considered, considered a real, you know, no, there was many people smoking, you know, dope and things like that, but he was like on the edge, so on the extreme we used to, you know, but so I was never kind of into that. I wouldn't exactly have a religious lifestyle. I wasn't brought up religious, that's for sure. But
you weren't brought up religious. You didn't go to church or anything.
Does this look like as if I was?
I thought like everyone used to go to church back in.
I used to go to church in the Sunday school, but I was like in the 60s then, wasn't it? And I was for the. That's because we used to go for the trifle, but that was it. It used to have a Sunday little equivalent to our Sunday feast, I guess. No, but that was.
So things wasn't so religious back in like the 70s or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, there's every street corner there was always a church or a chapel. You know, there was. Now it's gone. That's what secular state does for you, isn't it? They're all gone. People were more religious. What was that thing? That headline? It was in one of them. Some statistic that Christianity was going to be within 50 years. You remember that? It was going to become a minority religion in the UK. So religion is definitely is dying in the UK. I don't think there's any question of that. But anyway, back to my journey.
Yeah, sorry.
But my Lob Sam Rampart book, I found that this guy was a fraud. He was a complete fraud. After he was writing all about his Tibetan experience and how he was incarnated and going through these different incarnations. I found it, it was getting me to be a little thoughtful and take a little inward journey, I guess, rather than just running wild like I'm saying, going, playing rugby, getting drunk, and all the rest of the things.
How old are you then? How old are you?
That was in the early 80s, so do the maths. I was born in 59, so.
You got 20.
Yeah, early 20s, I guess. Early 20s. Because I was married with kids. And
You already married with kids?
Already married with kids, yeah. I was a kid getting married. But I was 18 and I was married. 4 kids. By the time I was like 22, so it was like done and dusted by that point. And you think, okay, what else? Same as everyone else. Okay, what else? What else do I do now? I got married. I went, running around, doing everything everyone else does. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. You ticked all the boxes by the time you were 20, 21 sort of thing.
Yeah, and a few extra boxes, which we don't want to go down. But that's what it's like. The valley's all still running around with bear skins, isn't it? Clubbing each other over the heads. So you can take the boy out of the valley, but you can't take the valley out of the boy, What can you do? Yeah, and this Lob Sam Rampart, I found he was some guy in Cornwall, just some fish, someone writing these books. It was
He just made it all up.
He just made it all up. Yeah. Anyway, it kind of slowed me down in once, So it was pretty. I say, and then old Buzz was always trying to get into bridge these different religions, and he took me to I remember going to the Chaitanya College once. I remember seeing Prabhupada there. I remember he had a watch on. I remember thinking, if he's a spiritual person, what's he doing with a watch? What's this impersonalist idea, of everything.
So you saw Prabhupada?
Yeah, the Murti Prabhupada, for those who, it's a deity or a statue of Prabhupada, and he had a watch on. I remember thinking, what's a spiritual person doing with the watch? I was trying to figure it out. You know, that was one of my... Because you have this concept of spiritual as beyond time and, you know, and all this
You
thing.
need to tell the time.
Yeah, what are you looking at the watch for? You know, you're supposed to be free when you're spiritual, isn't it? You're supposed, you know, beyond all the time and space and all this stuff. I remember thinking, yeah, but yeah. So that was all buzz. Later become Bindu. He got initiated just before he died. God love him. God rest his soul.
You got initiated
He got
same
initiated.
time as you? Or?
No. I got. So that was the early 80s, and then, but then of course I wasn't interested. He was always trying to get everyone interested, you know, and then.
So when he found, like, he read Bhagavad Gita and things like that and tried to get everyone...
Yeah, he would just try and get everyone into... He's always trying to get everyone to be a vegetarian. I remember at that time when we was just like, you know, that's a step too far at that time, you know what I mean? Now you're really, you know, well, you're playing rugby and you're doing all these things that valley boys do. Eating meat is like, it's the norm, it's the staple diet, isn't it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's always trying to do that because he was really finding it difficult, you know, to fit into the matrix. I was already in the matrix, you know what I mean, running around doing all the crazy stuff, you know. But yeah, I'm not more crazy than anyone else at it, but you know, just going along. As I say, the blind leading the blind, isn't it? You know, you don't know. You go along to get along, you know. Okay, this is what everyone does. So, you know, even though deep down we're thinking didn't feel right, it didn't feel comfortable. He would vocalize it, you know. He would vocalize it. He couldn't, you know, square square the circles or circle the squares or whatever. He didn't fit in, and he would vocalize it. Very vocal, actually. But
yeah, I haven't heard much about this Buzz. How did he dress then? Did he dress like everyone else?
yeah, like an old hippie, you know. He'd have the hair, the beard, you know, because he's, you know, I guess people have hair and beards, no, but he was dressed more like a hippie of the sand. We used to have the sandals, and because the 70s, it's the flares, and there was all that stuff, you know. Yeah, but
So you had that book by that guy from Cornwall, and then Buzz gave you Bhagavad Gita or something, or?
no, I mean, he was just always, I was just getting on with, you know, with my life, with the family, playing and everything. But he kind of, anyway, he gave me a book, or he wanted the book. That's what he wanted. He got, I guess he ended up incarcerated for a short while. So as you did in those days, you know. I mean, it's tame by today's comparison. The probably, you know, it's just for some dope and things, you know. But today, I guess it's not, you know, it's probably legalized now. But at that time, he went on to remand in Cardiff, Nick, there, and he said, "Give me this book." I said, "What book?" He said, "Bhagavad Gita." I said, "Bhagavad what? What you talking about? Can I give you this book?" He wants the book. I got plenty of time to read, so he wanted to, you know, because we were good friends and everything. So I didn't drive at the time, so I jumped on a train and went to Watford. That's all I knew. Back to Vedanta, that's all I knew, and I didn't know how to get. And I got off at Watford Junction, and then I had a taxi. Got a taxi to they didn't know what it was actually. That's taxi. They didn't have a clue. And then I got to the manor, and then I got the Bhagavad Gita. I asked for the Bhagavad Gita, and I can't remember. I think the devotee was Mahatma at the time. He was a school teacher, and as good devotees do. I only had I remember having the £10, and he said he didn't have no change. So he cleaned me out of my 10 and then give me an extra book. Give me the Bhagavad Gita, give me King of Knowledge, the Raja Vidya book. So that, and then I was coming back down on the train. And I had like 2.5 hours time to kill, so I just started to read the book. Started to read the Gita, and I thought, oh, well, this makes sense. So I guess Krishna is his way of tricking everyone. I wasn't going to read a Bhagavad Gita. What was I going to do with a Bhagavad Gita, really? Take me to London to get one.
Put you in a situation.
Put me in a
where you would read
situation.
it.
Well, okay, I've got nothing else to do. I'm kind of bored. You're sitting on the train, you know. So I kind of read that. And then they took him the Bhagavad Gita. They took it. You know, he was on remand. We went and visited him, give him the book, and he said, "Go and get me some prasadam." You know. What's that supposed to do? How am I supposed to do that? You know? So what's the matter with you? And prasadam, for those who don't know, is sacred food. It's a sacred food. And I said, how am I supposed to do that? And then he said, there's someone in Bridgend. He had some phone number on Bridgend. And
you were in Caerphilly at the time.
yeah. So off I went to Bridgend looking for this prasadam. So I had this numbered address, and I went knocking on the door, you know. And I found out at the time it was Phil Gardner. Found out later, he was into Krishna consciousness, but his wife was a Jehovah's Witness. So he would never, you know, there was like, they wouldn't mention, you know, they wouldn't talk about each other's religion or something.
Who's Phil Gardner?
He's, I don't know where he's living now. I don't know. He's still around. He comes to see him at the odd Rath Yatra now and again. I think he got into Buddhism a little bit, I think. But he was the contact at that time. It was kind of, they used to have meetings around here. I think it was like once a month or something, you know, once a month. And I remember knocking his door, and then his wife answered, and I was asking for prasadam. I didn't know any different than this. I was so freaked out. Right out, you got me standing on face like a robber's dog, isn't it? You know, this like she quickly shut the door and got rid of me.
Yeah, I think someone told me that when they first opened the door to you in that Bristol, they thought like, "Oh, this guy's trouble" or something like that.
Yeah, I think I come to rob the place or something, a case in the joint or something. Anyway, it kind of grew like that. Then I went to. Because he didn't have prasadam, then of course I didn't get any prasadam from there.
Well, they sent you away. You didn't get.
Basically, yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get past the doorstep. She wasn't going to let me in. I think Phil wasn't there. He must have been in work or something at that time, so she wasn't going to let me in. I wouldn't let me in, would you? And then I went. Then he said there was a meeting in the Friends Meeting House. That was what it was on Charles Street, you know, in town there, just round the corner there. And I think that was once every month. And Gunanavar and Bhagavata come down from London. They used to come down and do a program. So you know, so I just turned up there looking for some prasadam. Because I was the only one there. There was no one else there, was it? There wasn't exactly crammed out. And then that's how I got. And I met Gunanavar and Bhagavat, old Bhagavat, you know, Bhagavata Shwaya.
They just spoke to you like the philosophy and that. And it's just
Yeah. I said, listen, I'm not here for philosophy. Don't give me philosophy. I just come here for, you know, whatever you call this food.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, because they were trying to. And I said, yeah, it's nice, but just give me the thing and I'll go. I'm not into this. Yeah, look at that now. Anyway, Krishna got his ways of tricking. So that's how I got. That's how I got the.
Prasadam for Buzz.
Yeah, so it was like that. Then I got a prasadam for Buzz, took it in, and he was like.
So when was like the?
This was in '86.
When was that? What do they call it? Like a
Epiphany, the
coming
Epiphany.
to Jesus moment sort of thing.
The conversion on the road to conversion on the road to Cardiff, yeah, not the road to Damascus. That was then. It was like a gradual. It wasn't no flash of blinding light, you know. I'm always wary of people who have those sort of things, you know.
Yeah.
Hearing voices and it's very subjective, isn't it? You know what I mean? How do you kind of anyone can say anything, you know? How do you? So I'm always wary of people kind of hear from God, and I'm a bit of skeptic, like, you know, it may be genuine, it may, you know.
I was just saying, when I saw the devotees and how they're dressed and stuff, I thought, if I'm gonna become a Hare Krishna, I've got to be really convinced, sort of thing. You know, people who just sort of dive into it without Well, they say discrimination's a sign of intelligence or
Yeah.
something. You got to ask questions. You
Yeah,
can't
doubts means intelligence. You've got to question things. I remember I was in Caerphilly, so Krishna, it's like you get these drops. Krishna kind of tries to connect you up, but as usual, kind of turn away into you. And I remember I was outside, up in Caerphilly, it was outside the old co-op. I don't know what it is now. It's not the co-op now, but and I was with Carl, I think, my son, one of the kids. And this guy gave me, devotee stopped me, gave me a book. Because I had some familiar, he was just happy that I gave him a couple of quid. Anyway, it was a little, it was a 500th anniversary. Remember the little book for Lord Chaitanya, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, in '86, because I think it was for his 500th anniversary, they printed this little book. So I gave him he was happy as lad. He obviously hadn't stopped many people that day, and I gave him a couple of quid. He was just, yeah.
Yes, I mean, it's mad how they're in Caerphilly.
Yeah.
Because then their base would have been like either Chaitanya College in Watford or...
It was probably Sores Street, I'm guessing, somewhere. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was a travelling party anyway.
Yeah.
I never found out who that devotee. He was a black devotee. He was a black-bodied devotee. I never did that. So he was like the first contact on the street of a devotee, because Buzz was a devotee, but he just undercover, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What they called
I did in the jail.
Dakshakaguri. They're the ones who first point you in that direction. They first point you in that spiritual path. They're the first guru. So Buzz was my first guru in that sense. Connected me to Krishna consciousness.
Probably gets a lot of spiritual benefit for it, doesn't he?
I remember him saying to me, he said, because you can see I was starting to get into it. I took that book, and I remember, just to say, I was with doubts. So I was waiting in the queue then to kind of pay for what I was getting, some nefarious things. And I remember looking at the book, and I remember it was in there, and I think it was Brahma speaking to the sages, one of the 7 stages, Pipalanya, whatever. And he said, do you want to become free from anxiety? How did you deal with anxiety? And I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. Of course I do. I remember reading it. Then he said, you have to follow the 4 regulative principles. I went, okay, closed it, put it back in my pocket. And I'm not doing that. Forget that.
It's not worth it.
What's the 4 regular principles?
No eating meat, fish, or eggs. And I was already at the meat counter coming up with some meat. No intoxication. So then I had some booze in my hand. And it was a rugby weekend, I think, or something. And then there's no illicit sex and no gambling. So that was like, forget that. For a game of cowboys and Indians. So I was just that was my initial role. So, but then it was after that. That was before the Bhagavad Gita incident. Then that was before. That must have been early. No, maybe 85, maybe even a year before or something. 80.
I'm just kind of interested. Like, you went all this way out of your way to help Buzz out, like going all the way to London, going to Bridgend, like this. You had some kind of desire to serve him. Was that just the way you were? Like, did you
Well, your friend, yeah. I just friendship, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's
The
Some
boys,
people-
isn't
some
it?
people
Do
would-
anything for the boys.
yeah,
isn't it?
boys,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't nothing extraordinary.
No.
It was like same what anyone else would do for
Yeah.
when someone's incapacitated.
Yeah.
And just
So when did you? When was your first? When did you first do the mantra meditation? When was your first chanting Hare Krishna?
that was in '86. I just gradually got into it, and that's when
Because that's like that's a visual of like like you said, strapping rugby player. You're in a no one else is really into sort of the spirituality and stuff. Especially up in the valleys.
No.
And you got your wife and kids, and then you picking up beads.
Looking back, I was either brave or stupid. It was one because I was bucking the trend. I was just going completely against. So when you see people do that, they got to be, I didn't think of it, but you've got to be pretty brave, pretty strong-minded, then to
Determined, isn't it?
pretty determined.
You're not just going to go with what everyone else is doing just because.
Not going to go along to get along.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of feel like everyone kind of feels like that, right? Everyone kind of, we're just going along to get along. Yeah, everybody's doing it. I got to go out, go to the pub, going to get drugged, take this, take that, just to get a buzz. But it's never satisfying. You know, and so many people say the same thing. Yeah, this, you know, they go into the pubs, whatever, and they just go in. You know, let's just say going along to get along, but they don't really want it just for. So I made the break. I made the break. Someone's got to be a little, you know. If someone didn't make the break and decided to put a suit and tie on, we'd still be running on the bearskins, wouldn't we? Someone decided to break with tradition, you know. So you know. So people, we shouldn't be frightened to make that break, to make that move, you know. We shouldn't be frightened to try things. And, okay, sometimes you make mistakes, like you say. Well, what is it, you know, you experience, you make a mistake, and then you learn. You don't learn unless you try things, unless you kind of come out of our comfort zones. We're generally quite happy in our comfort zones, and people are frightened to come out. They know this is not it. They're going along to get along. They don't fit in, but they won't come out. We're frightened of, you know.
Yeah, just acting in a certain way so your mates will
Yeah,
like you and stuff, isn't it? And
just you go along to get along. And I'm saying that point where Bindu said to me, he said, listen, if you get into this, because he could say I was starting to get into it, like I said, I started to chant a little bit. He got me the beads. He had beads there anyway. He had all sorts of beads and all sorts of religious wacky things. we
crystals and stuff.
Yeah, all sorts of things. And then we just, like that, just started to chant. And you could see I was starting to get into it. Yeah.
What about your wife? What about Jackie? Your wife Jackie? You started chanting and
She thought it was completely,
she thought you were completely insane, is it?
completely insane. Yeah, she didn't know what was going on, but I mean, she just, you know, because we've been together since we were 15, you know, so she was just kind of, okay, he's into something else, you know. She's a good wife, she kind of stuck by me. And she says that, you know, because he used to say, would you rather me back as I were? She, no, don't go back as he was. She said, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, before pre-Krishna conscious days. Yeah. No, you weren't. So she's, because it has that effect. Krishna consciousness does kind of make things, and that's what this is. Things become auspicious. That's one of the characteristics of devotional. When you start to practice, things kind of, you know, they big things. As they say, auspicious means become more favorable, even materially. Even materially, things start to happen. As I say, when Bindu said to me, he said to me, listen, if you get into this, he said, people will take notice of you. Me, he said, I've always been trying for years. But he said, if you do, no one takes any notice of me, you know. He was all buzzing. Yeah, you've got to be vegetarian to this meat. Come on, come over. Okay, and he'd come with us, you know. Because he'd always try and fail. He'd always have these, because he couldn't fit in. He'd always go on, you know. And he said, people, because of you, because of who I was, and, you know.
People looked up to you, sort of thing? Or?
Yeah, just one of the characters in the valley, isn't it? Playing rugby, one of the, you know.
Even now, though, I'm out doing books, you know, distributing books and stuff. So many people say, I know Terry, I know Milkman. Is it Milkman, Terry, or Haircut? Those are your names?
Yeah.
Milkman, Terry, Haircut.
Milkman, Terry.
Is it Milkman?
I don't know that one, but I've been called many things, but I have been called many things.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I was just known, but yeah, just like a valley. Everyone knows everyone in the village, so I was kind of, you know, one of the boys. That's all.
So
always up to mischief, maybe, you know, up to something, but you know, like the kind of Jack the Lad type of, you know, that type of personality. If you met my father, you know where I get it from. You know? He was like that, a bit wild. Yeah, so that's the way, and it was like I gradually got into it, and then started going to the meetings, and I was getting a little dissatisfied because I started to chant. I was started to read Prabhupada's books, and then from there I wanted to do book distribution. You know, I wanted to kind of. It's the same as that's natural, isn't it? When you find something, you want to share it. Then, isn't it? I mean, that's just natural psychology. If you win the lottery, you know, you want to share it with your friends and. Like that.
I guess your friends didn't get
Oh no! I remember going in the pub and I was just, couldn't figure it out, and I was explaining what Krishna and they're like, you know, Why can't they see what I can see? But I really, they can't. It's an internal. It's a matter of your consciousness. This is because you see it with your consciousness, isn't it? You see through the eyes. You don't see with the eyes. You see through. The eyes are like glasses, isn't it? And then when you put glasses on, you don't see. You see through the glasses. So you're seeing through the eyes, and that's what, as I was chanting, that's what's, because you see according to your consciousness, whatever your state of mind is, that's what you'll see. So when you started to chant, one of the phases, you start to purify the consciousness. You begin to see things a little differently. So I'm trying to explain this to my friends who were in the pub, seeing completely different, completely intoxicated, and they were like, I was just alienating myself, They were thinking, really going right over, even worse than Buzz now. I taken it to another level, What are you on, I took it to another level then. So it's like birds of a feather then will flock together. So you naturally will gravitate toward where, that's just naturally you want to find someone you can share your experience with then and share things, isn't it? That's what they'll say. Crows go with crows. You don't see crows with swans. The birds of a feather flock together. They'll go where they'll, where they fit in. So we're in the pubs, in the clubs, and whatever that, I thought, well, I'm not fitting in. You're even more now. So I started to vocalize it like Bindu, but I thought it wasn't getting anywhere. I realized that's not the audience. They're not ready to listen. Which is fair enough, Can't go in there and then just tell them, it's too preachy, too evangelic. Then you know what I mean? Trying to, it's like as if it's in there trying to push religion down their throats and things like that. And I wouldn't want that. Who wants that? I would have thrown them out if the shoe been on the other foot or something, So kind of like that.
Very interesting, like how certain people they just can't hear this kind of more deep philosophy in one sense. Like you said, Buzz sort of had seen through the matrix.
Yeah, but then there's lots of people like that, I definitely know. There's lots of people who know that but then that determination, then they won't come out of their comfort zone, or they too bought into the matrix, too bought in, with the bank cards and and the family and the job, and you bought into the system. You've invested too much into the system, then to kind of risk. Oh, I'm not going to risk coming out of my comfort zone then, because you're into. There's lots of people that kind of have that thing. How many people do we meet? Going along to get along, and I don't fit in you, but they're too frightened to try something else, or just.
So what do you say to those people then? Is because there is a lot, say they might be attracted to spiritual life, but they think, well, look, it's too late for me now. I've bought into the system. I've already got my, I'm tied with, or they think they're tied with their job and family and stuff, and they might have a misconception that they might have to become what do you say to what?
I never left my family, and I just added the chanting. That you can do anytime, any place, anywhere. That's the beauty of that. That's the mystic of chanting. That's the magic of when you chant. As I say, things begin to happen in your life. Your consciousness begins to change. You begin to see things in a different way, in a different light. You don't externally. It didn't change anything, but it's an internal process. Yeah, a lot of people have this idea, this misconception. You've got to give everything up and run off. Go back to the dark ages or something. Run off into a cave, and you can do that. But that's not for us. Those are for those sages in India, that like spiritual virtuosos. They're like the Olympic athletes. Everyone to get that Olympic standard, you've got to train hard. To get to that standard of going renouncing the world, you've got to really work at that. You've got to really practice. So it's not practical in this day and age, especially for Terry up in the valleys, married with 4 kids. completely in the matrix. How am I going to practice spiritual life? How does anyone practice spiritual life? So that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That's the beauty of Prabhupada, of the holy name. He's brought the holy name here and given it to us. So you can just live anywhere. You can live in the valleys, and still become spiritual. And it begins with chanting. You got to take that leap of faith. It's a leap of faith. Everything's a leap of faith. Everything we do is a leap of faith. No, I'm going to stick at my job and I'll be happy. It's a leap of faith. It's all a leap of faith. How do you know? I'll get my money, I'll get my wealth, I'll go to school, get my job, get my degree, and then I'll be happy. That's a leap of faith. Okay, go and try it. But that's what people have midlife crisis. They get there, okay, and it hasn't got it. Then people have midlife crisis. So everything is a leap of faith. So people want to make that, they're just not brave enough to kind of. It's like you're in a building and the fire's the building's on fire and they done well over the safety net and they're saying jump, isn't it? Jump, and they well, can you save me first and then I will jump? Can you So it's a bit like I want to do it, but can you show me? Can you make sure it save me? Show me everything first. But that was at a leap of faith. If you were seeing everything, where is it? You've got to make that leap of faith. Everyone has. People want to do it, but they want to be. It's like in the like I'm saying, it's in the building. But save me first, and then I'll show me first. Everything, show me. We're all like that. Have a tendency to be like that. So
that's why you've got to be a bit rock and roll to be Hare Krishna.
You've got to be a bit rock and roll to any type of spirit. If you want to kind of people know that there's different. To take to the spiritual path, but many people kind of feel disgruntled, dissatisfied. Practically everyone, we know that. I mean, that now I realize that gap, that dissatisfaction, which everyone experiences, is that lack of connection. To, and that's what yoga is connecting to the Supreme, or we call him Krishna.
It's been expanded more than ever with the COVID as well, because people have more time on their hands. They're less sort of distracted by the general routine. So that's becoming more apparent. Like there's something not quite right. There's a lot more. Would you say? Yeah, there's
people are definitely got more time on their hands now, and to be whether they be a little bit more introspective. Some people probably will. Other people just getting lost on Netflix with the austerity of Netflix.
Like then even more.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask about, because you said leap of faith, and I thought it was quite interesting because, to dedicate yourself to material pursuits, like you said, even that is a leap of faith. But what gives people that faith? Because, like you said, you jump out a window and you get caught, but you don't see. There's nothing around to build that faith in you. You know what I mean? Because no one is happy. You've got millionaires who are suicidal and things. So why is it everyone?
We need a plan B. If you see millionaires, you're using millionaires. They see all this, because the plan A is you just work. You go to school, you work out of school, you get your degree, you go out then into the world, get your job, become rich, famous, and whatever it is, and then you become happy. But there's so many, like we said, there's so many rich, beautiful. There's so many rich, beautiful people and famous people, but they're all in and out of rehab, or their relationships are breaking down. They're unhappy. They're not exactly. How many are happy? What's the I don't know what the percentage is. Probably pretty low. What they're actually happy. So we need a plan B. Okay, let's try something else. But like I'm saying, people are kind of. People are not shown an alternative. We are, Prabhupada has given us this alternative, but you've got to be a little brave, a little bold, or at least to start trying. You don't have to be so brave and so bold. You can even go into your bedroom, shut the door when no one's around you. That's what I used to do first of all, because till I felt comfortable. It's like, I'm chanting these weird names. It's like, what's going on, And of course, I had no one in to bounce off when I was doing it. No one to say, no, this is good. You're okay. I had no frame of reference, to bounce off. Am I going nuts here?
I think that's amazing to keep. To do spiritual life is hard. It's hard enough, even with. It's a lot easier with people around you who are also practicing the same. The fact that you managed to continue with such determination on your own most of the time
initially,
is that's phenomenal. You know what I mean? He must have been so convinced.
But this, you're asking why for that leap of faith, but then you know, okay, you don't make it such a big, or if it's too big a leap to jump out of the building, okay, so then make it small. It's like a type of investment. You know, when you invest, if someone says to you, okay, you know, copper, really you should be investing in copper at the minute to play, and you think, well, okay, sounds good, but I'm not going to invest everything in it. I'm not going to chuck everything in. So that was my nature. Always been a bit extreme. So my nature's a bit like that, you know. So, but then most people will think, okay, I'll invest a little something in copper, and then once you invest, and then I'll see what I get back. So once you get something back on your investment, okay, I can invest a little more. See, that's another way to do it. It's probably the most saner way to do it. And then you'll invest. So as you invest, you get in on your returns. You'll invest more. So it's the same sort of thing. You know. So then the more, okay, I took that leap of faith. Right, I felt good from this. I was chanting, so I was just getting. Then I wanted to go and distribute books. I was getting. There was no one around you doing it, and I was meeting every few weeks. So I started to go. I remember Phil took me out. He said, "How do I do these books? What do I do?" You know, I didn't have a clue what to do. You know, no one to train me. And I remember, we come into Cardiff on Queen Street, just over there. And I remember it was the Science of Self-Realization. At the time, they was printed in 2 parts, a paperback. There was part 1 and part 2. And I had books. He said, okay, you stand there and I'll go over there. And that was it. I never seen him the rest of the day. I think he went, because I kept on so much to take me out because I didn't know. And that was it. So I had to figure it all out, you know, bit through trial and error. And I remember I think I'd done 6 books, so I was really, there's nothing like that feeling that once you get, how am I going to do this anyway? So just started approaching. So I had a clue what I was doing. But when I gave out a book, it was like magic, isn't it? You know, when you give that nice first book, yeah, it's like, wow. It's like, and then, you know, because, you know, Krishna's reciprocating with you then, you know, that's it. Because you're investing, you're getting back on your investment. I took the time, took the effort to go out. So the more you invest, the more you're getting back on your return. It's the same in stock. You invest a little, you'll get a little back. You invest a lot, you'll get a lot back. Krishna says, Jeta Mam Prapadyante, is you give, I'll give back. As you love me, I love you, Krishna says. So the more you give Krishna, the more Krishna's going to give. He's not going to interfere without independence. He'll do it according to what we want to do, according to what we want to give. He won't interfere with it. People, you know, you're forced against your will. You can't. Those forced of the will have the same opinion still. You can't force no one against their will. You know, and you can't put the fear of God into people. That's you know, going to send you to hell if you don't believe in God. And that's, Wait a minute. No, it's not, they need a plan B for that. You know, yeah, you can't. You know, who would want to spend the rest of eternity with a person who's going to, if you don't, you know, like some megalomaniac or something that's kind of, if you don't love me, I'm going to send you to hell. Wait a minute. Well, yeah, some narcissistic person that's like, got issues, you know. Forget that. That's not my cup of tea. Not the type of person I want to spend my rest of eternity with. You'd be frightened to move. Tell me you love me. Oh, I love you. I'm going to send you to hell.
Yeah, that's not love, is it?
No, that's not love. That's not.
I'm with you, because if you send me to hell, if...
Yeah. I mean, that's not the Bhagavad Gita's concept of God or Krishna. No, love means he's got to be natural. Love means natural. It's naturally there in the heart of everyone. So Krishna, Lord Chaitanya says that. Nitya Krishna Prema Sadhaka Bhagavan. Within everyone's heart is this love of God. It's just got to be. It's inherent. It's naturally there. Just got to bring it out. And the process to bring it out is chanting. You can chant any name of God. That's what it doesn't have to be Krishna. It can be Jesus, Buddha, Yahweh, whatever name of God you want to chant. It's naturally there. Just like walking is naturally there, you know, when the baby, so the midwife picks a baby, and if the legs move, okay, then the functions are normal. They see that they'll move because it's naturally there. Then it takes some practice with the baby to bring that, you know, to bring it out. And we're all like, and you stumble and fall, and the baby doesn't, and it's a big deal, isn't it, when the baby makes us, yay, and everyone's happy. Did it with my grandkid and the kids. Yeah, it's a big thing for them, So when you first start chanting, it's like, it's a big deal. Because it's natural, as you chant, then it'll bring out that what's already there. Like, it's practice, just like walking, naturally. Now, you don't think we walk naturally. So you can get to a stage where it's just natural to be, your consciousness becomes so, purified that you're naturally there with Krishna. So they tell me, I'm not there by any stretch of imagination. But we're on that path. We know where the path, we know where we're going. That's important. You've got a vision. You have to know where you're going. Without a vision that connects the present to the future. If you don't have a vision, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? See, so most people have a low vision, low goals. I'm saying, raise the bar, raise your vision, and just connect spiritually where you can have that really happiness or that satisfaction that we're searching for. When you've got low goals, you're not going to go far. Your vision is too low, your aspirations are too low. So anything material, the aspiration is low because it's still material. That means it'll have a beginning and it'll have an end. It has to come to an end at some point. I guarantee you. I'll even put a little wager if I was a bet gambling man. I'd even put a little 10 pence down on that I would get because everything, that's the nature of anything material. It has a beginning and it will have an end. So as consciousness is continuous, consciousness doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an end. So that's naturally, we are searching for something that doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an end. So we're looking for it in the wrong place. That's the moral of the tale. So, but that's how I stuck to the chanting. That's why I was getting that satisfaction. Same as everyone does. Anyone will do it. There's a money back guarantee. If you do it properly, of course. If you do it properly. And it's not difficult.
And here at Atma, there'll be a few workshops and stuff, and you'll show us you'll introduce us to the chanting and...
Yeah, now because we've progressed from me just running around the streets wild, giving out a few books. Now because then we ended up in Swansea.
I think we need a part 2, cause I was wondering how you met.
What time is it anyway? Well,
It's 48, so about 48 minutes.
That's enough, isn't it?
I don't know, because I would like a part, because I think there's a lot more to the story, and hopefully over the next, as you do more of these podcasts, and when we start opening Atma Lounge with workshops and stuff, you can. I'd be interested as well if you could take us through as well some of the, different themes. Like you talked about quite a few different points, not only the chanting, but the fact of consciousness having higher goals and stuff. So if you're available, I would like to hear more of in the more of these different themes and stuff, if you don't mind.
I'm happy to do that, but I want to put my I want my fee. I want to raise my. I want to raise my I want to raise my vision, raise my bar here, and have a little fee, just more than a cold cup of tea,
Yeah. If anyone wants to donate a fee to.
I'm a man of simple needs. Just a warm cup of tea will do.
Yeah, let's see. We'll do this again next Sunday, live stream. And
but it's
anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Yeah, Saturday today, for those of you who don't know. But I think we'll do Sundays from now on. I think when things start to come up, especially starting Sankirtan again.
All right, okay, yeah. Actually, Sunday probably would be a better day. Yeah.
And Atma Lounge is open today for meals. You can get a meal for £1, or because of Valentine's Day, right, Gopi Gita, it's 2 for 1 meal, so you can bring your partner.
Whose idea was that?
It was
that was Gopi's idea. Yeah,
that's where your fees go in.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fee sponsored by my Food Life is sponsored by my fee. Then
We're gonna do a Welsh Yogi code as well, isn't it?
A Welsh Yogi what?
If you listen all the way through this podcast,
if you listen all the way through the podcast, if you say the code Welsh Yogi 14. Welsh Yogi 14. What is it, Ben?
What is
Welsh
that
Yogi
for?
14.
And you get a free meal from Atma.
For making it through this.
Yeah, so well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll keep in touch soon. We've got a lot going on in Atma, and we're going to start yoga, live streaming yoga, because we can't open physically the premises at the minute for things like that. We'll start our yoga classes on, when is it, Gopi? The 28th. Sunday the 28th of February, and we'll do it every Sunday, and we'll do Tuesdays as well.
We just have a little question from Maharani Vrinda of Devi Dasi.
Oh no.
Question from Maharani Vrinda Devi
Video's on, by
Dasi.
the way.
It says, Hare Krishna, dear Tarakanatha Prabhu, happy to hear from you.
You know Maharani, right?
What is your vision for the near future?
What's my vision? Well, my vision for the near future at the minute is developing our project in T. Krishna, and we've got a big project coming on board, which is like up to £3 million. We're building well, we've got planning permission for a glass temple.
State of the art.
Yeah, it's going to be avant-garde. That's it's the same what we're trying to do with the Atma. It's creating a modern setting, and then delivering these ancient teachings of the Vedas. So, especially in the Western world, our Western mentalities is we conditioned to see, we like to see opulent things, and everything's clean and neat and tidy. So we have to. So that's attractive for us. So in that modern setting where people will then take it a little bit more serious, that we can give these teachings, these ancient teachings. So, and Veda means knowledge. That's what Veda means. Veda means knowledge. They're not sectarian books of religion like we equate. Like the Bible is like to Christians, or the Quran is to Islam. They just a vast body of knowledge on how to live in this world and to become happy, irrespective of what religion, what gender, what creed, so they cover. These teachings go across all cultural, religious, social boundaries, because they deal with who you are. That's what this Atma is dealing with, who you are, not what you are. When you deal with what you are, we're always trying to measure things. How do you measure? You're successful if you can measure it, how big it is, how fast it is, how tall, and how much have you got? More. But it's not dealing with who you are. We can have all these things, but are you satisfied? So that's what the teachings deal with: who you are, not what you are. So that's our vision, to get that showed, is to get this to as many people, to show them that alternative, so that leap.
Plan B.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan B for society, and that was Prabhupada's plan, not my plan. That's the plan of all the great teachers and professors in our line is the plan B. That because there's two schools of thought. There's one, to enjoy. There's the materialistic path or material things, and then there's the inner path of spiritual things. So now, how do we practice that and give that? That's what we're trying to balance. That's what we're trying to do. So thank you, Maharani, for that nice question. Hare Krishna.
One more question?
Yeah. One more question. I was just thinking, imagine when we all come together and help build T. Krishna Cymru in Cardiff Bay, this beautiful centre. I can, be nice. Like, you can imagine what Buzz would have,
Buzz's thing was cooking. He would have loved Food for Life. He was the first one to start Food for Life. Actually, when he used to cook, he was always doing the cooking for programs.
Right.
Yeah. He was a good cook. Actually, he would have been in ecstasy with. I mean happy, not only ecstasy. We're talking Bindu now, not Buzz.
Bindu Madhava, is
Bindu Madhava is initiated name.
Bindu Madhava.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie, go on. Thanks,
there's,
Maharani.
There's a few more questions. There's two more questions.
Are you okay to say you have to answer them? Is that right? Or?
Okay, quick. Yeah.
There's one from Deva Das. It says,
David Preston.
How
That's Melani's husband.
Yeah.
Dave the Plasterer.
How long were you practicing alone, and how did the next stage happen?
That we can get into next week. That's what Gopal, yeah. I'm getting old. I got Alzheimer's kicking in, I think, yeah. That's going to take, we can elaborate, but I was on my own for a couple of years. Well, I was never on my own in one sense. I used to go to the manor, but that was like 200 miles from me to the nearest association. And then Sachi started to come to some devotees to Bhuvanath. We did festivals in 88, 89. So I was like probably Rasamandla. There was Rasamandla. Because now my memory's starting to come. That was, but they were there was no one here apart from me, and for a few years actually. I'll have to think about it a bit more, and we can talk. And we can talk about it next time.
'Cause it's good having all this recorded as well, you know, for the future.
David Preston says, "Okay, I'm hooked for next week."
Okay. And with my fee, we will be charging a little something.
And there's one more question from Cassie Fromant. Says, "How can I get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita from you, please?"
Either if she lives in Cardiff, if she comes to Atma Lounge, then we can arrange to give her a copy. Or if she can, if she messages the Facebook, if you message us on the Facebook and your address and everything, we'll arrange for you to get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, come and pick it up, or we can for sure. Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Hope everyone's liked the new format of of being live, and everyone can catch up as well, because we'll release it all on
iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can get podcasts, you can have a listen.
Yeah.
We're on everything.
So thank you, everyone. Hope to see you all later at my lounge if you can make it. Happy
12 till
Valentine's Day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi